lots of people actually tend to see a car from the side view as a profile, and this is pretty well how you arrive at it. But there are other complications added on top of that, not least of which is crash testing. The car, by the time this was introduced, was having to be subjected to some serious crash testing, where you get a frontal impact where the engine mustn't be driven back into the saloon. The side of the car is hit, and this is probably the most vulnerable place of a car to hit because you sit so close to it. So cars at this time had to have what are known as side impact beams set in the doors. So these doors have virtually an RSJ or rolled steel section, as it were, put through the doors to bolster the side of the car under impact. Also, the car was hit from the back, and again there was some massive problems in America where cars that weren't protected properly at the back had a fuel tank, not Rolls-Royce cars, but other makes had fuel tanks which were bursting under rear impacts. And of course you're dealing with a dreadful situation if that happens. So this car has the fuel tank positioned here in the safest place of the car, which pretty well runs right across the car here, which dictates where this fuel filler door's got to be. There's lots of regulations coming into effect at this time, which meant that even if the car was inverted, to a terminal crash, that you wouldn't get any fuel spillage. So engineering had some very, very tight constraints, but nevertheless they had the profile pretty well, and they knew what was happening for impacts. The wild card, which was causing problems right across the industry, was the need in America to have 5-mile-an-hour impact bumpers. And the Americans demanded that you could hit an object, or an object hits you at 5 miles an hour, and there is no witness of that on the car. No, not even a paint scuff. Now, 5 miles an hour doesn't sound much, but if you walk into a lamppost at 5 miles an hour, it could knock you out. I mean, it's 5 miles an hour is considerable, particularly when you've got a large, pretty heavy vehicle behind it. Obviously, if you hit on a corner, the mechanism to absorb that takes all the load on that corner. So it really is a challenge.
And I would just like to interject, as an owner, should those bumpers crack, they're £5,000 to replace. That's in today.
No, it's a fair comment. That as far as regulations went, I have to add that this is the last iteration of this particular style. I will go over why the significance of the later modifications. But one of the things was that the American regulations for bumper impact were so heavy on everyone that they backed off a bit. And in fact, you could accommodate some minor physical damage to the bumper casings as long as the actual substantial car behind it wasn't affected. So which explains why you can actually crack certain things and still pass the law. But at 5 miles an hour, you're hitting something pretty hard.
And just one other point, which people, is this a safety? I've had this conversation for all the SZ
Yes.
Silver Spirit cars.
Yes. Yes.
That can go.
Yes.
On the later ones, it's electric. Yes. Is that a safety feature?
Yes.
It is safety.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's the sort of thing that no one wants to have to engineer.
I can well
because it's a nightmare to get it right.
Yes.
But nevertheless,
well, it works perfectly 30 years later.
the guy who drew it knew the problem, and it still works, and it means that you can hit, well, it's obvious that this needs to be out the way if particularly you hit a pedestrian.
Yeah.
God forbid, but it is a safety feature that we had to employ.
Yeah.
We did consider putting it into a lit box down here, which was an idea, but we could engineer this and it was okay.
Yeah.
It's never been an issue. So now we go on to, we've had the engineering facts of life, but now we have marketing's requirements, which were extremely important.